and partly millennials who I am, is that we need to ensure that we are a bit diversified and know that there are many roles, so that we don't all finish our engineering schools and all of us want to wear the overall and be a technician. That skill can be used in so many other areas, even within that scope. So it's not there's no one answer to fit all. It's a multi-phased issue which can be addressed on different angles.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Githai. I think Mr. Fred Opot wanted to say something on this. Yeah, I saw your hand.
Well, I'm not one to shy away from speaking my mind. We've got to draw a line between providing employment and having a job done satisfactorily. And we are talking about an industry which has got, over the years, even the reason why ICAO was formed, one of the major reasons why ICAO was formed, the 38 states came together, was for fear of accidents. This is a self-preservation thing that human beings have. When we hear of mortality, we all cower. Even the young baby will cower away from dying. So therefore, this industry has come a long way, and I've seen it. With a few people here, we have observed. Safety has always been at the pinnacle of considerations. Systems have changed in how to manage safety, but still, it still remains the number one consideration. We all want to jump into that aircraft, fly as fast as possible, and get there safely. Therefore, that brings us back to something else. In fact, I would have asked, why are we retiring very young, inspectors? And we have a shortage. We are the same people again. We are suffering because we have a shortage of inspectors. Somebody retires at the age of, I don't know, 60 or 65? 65. That's a baby, in terms of, especially in terms of his ability to manage safety. We are not employing people to go and lift 747s on their heads. Therefore, you require a more virulent and strong person. So, again, it's a very difficult thing. This ageism is an issue which is very difficult to tackle. It's akin to tribalism and many other isms. So I think, let's be realistic. There is no way I will just employ somebody just for the sake of employing them. For the sake of employment, there are requirements. You've heard about the requirements for, and we've debated this before when you are dealing with the regulations. Requirements for this, requirements for that. And age hardly ever comes in there. Age hardly ever comes in. Where age comes in, and this has been proved scientifically, is in the flying, because certain things start degenerating. And those, again, in the interest of safety, that's why we go that way. So it's all an issue of doing, you look at the risks and you try to manage the risks so that we get the best. We don't stop all accidents, but we minimize the number of accidents and how severe they would be. So my children, my grandchildren, some maybe, I do empathize, and this issue of employment it's not something to laugh about. It's a very serious issue that you do raise. It's not that I don't have nephews, I don't have nieces who are sitting at home having done degrees and all that. It's a big problem. It's a big state problem, and we shouldn't laugh about it. And but at the same time, I welcome any of those who would like to come and do what I do. You know, come and show me, and I have no problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Far appreciate your indulgence on that. I might have mistaken your hand, but I knew we needed that wisdom. So
yeah, let's have.
The question on why we allow is because we base on size and complexity of the organization.
thank you, John, for that feedback. Underline the word size and complexity. Dasa?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for contributing, stakeholders. These three questions are very huge. It doesn't have one answer. It's not just straightforward, but I thank you for the contribution. The only thing I want to say it has a dead answer is number one. Retirement age for public servants is set in the law of Kenya. But for public sector is set for the various cadres. We have the judges, I think. And the spirit about us living here and coming there, and the spirit is dead, it is alive today. We want to confirm. When we come, we'll come the way we are on this side. And finally, the other issue on the third one was retirement, that's employment by now, where we are saying when inspectors leave this place, they come there to be employed, probably to gain favors from the authority, that when we see Mr. Kakai, I've seen Kakai here, Peter Kakai, head of quality Kenya Airways. So it means that when we see you, this is very anonymous, but that's what the people feel on the ground. I'm just giving an example. Kakai is a friend. Ayodi is also saying you are forgetting me. He's here. Yes, Ayodi is there. Stanley Kibunja is there. Ongai is there. Lois Lumutu is there. You've heard what the industry is saying. Go there with the spirit you left in KCA so that you can also help the industry, because ICAO acknowledges the people who leave the authority to join the industry, that those people, because they have this knowledge which we are discussing, which the industry may not have all the time, then we go and impart that knowledge and come together to collaborate and make a better safety system in Kenya. So I thank you very much. We will not stop the inspectors coming there, because it's the only place they can also. Ayodi wants to say something. Is burning.
Ayodi, maybe.
baadaye.
Briefly. Briefly, we are running out of time.
In fact, I just want to respond to two issues.
Yeah,
one raised by Mohammed, and the one that she was just answering about favors. I don't think even inspectors are surprised, because when we go back there, we are just treated like any other person. We follow the same line. We don't receive any favors. If there is any favors, I shouldn't be hanging with fly notes since September last year. I should be having an AOC right now. But yes. So actually, how about manuals? I think maybe you employed the wrong person. Try me.
Okay. Thank you, Ayodi. That is a stakeholder comment. We take it very positively. And thank you, Ayodi, too. Thank you.
Right, shukran. Thank you for the discussions on the three issues. And remember, we were talking about the AMO and the AOC certification. Most of the things that I've been mentioning with regard to late applications, communication, documentation, and all that, they duplicate when it comes to the AOC side. So I welcome our the acting manager of flight operations. She will briefly tell us the issues that they face at their side.
We are fixing the projector on the left and the right side of the room. Be patient.
Good afternoon. All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, I would almost want to go into my PA, what I used to do a long time ago when you board one of those beautiful aircraft. However, you know, they say when you're in the presence of your seniors, you just sit and you tuck in your tail, which is exactly what I was doing. I heard there were protests during lunch that you want to see me, you want to hear my voice, so here I am. So receive me, please. Okay, mine is very brief, considering it was a little bit of a shotgun, just to talk about the certification and approval process. We do know to have an AOC, you know, legal notice 92 regulation 4, that is what is anchoring the need to have that AOC certification, and as we all know, it's a 5-phase process. Just to quickly highlight, that would start from a pre-application phase, formal application phase, you go into the document evaluation, and as Gesure, Manager Airworthiness, has talked about, the inspection phase, where we now need to come and see that you have what you said you have, you're doing what you said you will do, and finally the 5th phase, which is issuance of the AOC and OPSPECs, basically the certification. When it comes to the fleet addition process, it also takes the same format because it's a mini certification. That's quite a major change. And again, that is anchored in the regulation, which is AOC and Admin Regulation 22, I believe, Subpart 3 and Subpart 4, which requires for any commercial undertaking that you have your aircraft approved. And that means if you also have any specific approvals, you're also going to embed them during that process. And they also take the same format over 5 phase. So you have many 5-phase processes under the main 5-phase process, but we don't mention it all the time. I think it intimidates quite a bit. The inclusion process, again, it's a much simpler process. It's still a mini 5-phase, because you still have your letter of intent, you still have your updated PASI form, and you will still come with document submission. A lot of them will already be manuals which are approved, some of them will be amendments, but for us to include that aircraft, you still have to come and demonstrate, which is now what we are calling phase 3, document evaluation and submission. I do understand, I think that's a hot item in the industry at the moment, but I want to believe that FlightOps so far, with the collaboration and coordination that Dasa talked about in the morning, we have been able to harmonize our processes between FlightOps and Airworthiness so that we can make that process a lot shorter and a lot more seamless. Nonetheless, that said, we are always here to improve our services with the resources that we have and also the workload that we have, which is to serve you. The inclusion within the AOC, once again, just to highlight, that is a modification in the operation specifications, and we still need to go through those processes that I've talked about, however, much simpler, without the need for the inspection, so to speak, other than aircraft inspection. And when it is done much closer to the C of A inspection, sometimes we will use that C of A certificate and probably just do an operational side, because remember, we are usually not involved as flight ops when the aircraft is going through the C of A and the C of R. So we'll come in and do a final check from the operation side and now give you that operation specifications. When it comes to training, which is something that has been talked about and also really passionately brought out by my senior Major Ali. It's true, the pilot training is very costly, so is the cabin and so is the FO. However, I will give a very good example of my good friend here, Bwana Machola. He has a very good manual, I have to say. It meets the requirements, and that is not to say that any of the manuals that we have at the KCA do not meet the requirements. What I liked about the OMD is that they specified pilot cadre 1, pilot cadre 2. So I can't remember which was which, but assuming pilot cadre 1 is somebody who does not have a rating, it means they're going to go through the entire training that is required. That is all the way from the ground school, if that's the pilot training, ground school, CBT, simulator, and then you come to the aircraft training, and then you proceed with all the ground trainings that are required. When it comes to pilot cadre 2, you're assuming that this pilot has got experience from another operator. So it is up to you, the operators, to give us how you're going to embed and how you're going to accommodate these pilots from another AOC. So it can be a shortened program as long as it meets the requirements. And then we also look at the requalification. The AIC, there's an AIC on requalification depending on how long this pilot has been out of service. So you might find that they don't need the entire training, they need about 50%, 25%, depending on how long they have been out. So you'll find when it comes to pilot training, you don't actually have to do the entire rating unless that person has been out of circulation. I believe it's about 36 months, 36 to 60 months. Then it means they will have to undergo the entire training, which is in accordance to the AIC that was released just a few years ago, so that we can ensure the pilots we are absorbing have actually met the standards. So in terms of pilot training, same thing with the FO and the cabin crew. I would say that bit takes care of it, and it's up to you, the operators, to tell us how you're going to absorb these people coming from another AOC. At the same time, when it comes to ground, the regulated ground courses, the CRM, the SMS, ABSEC, dangerous goods, yes, we can say it's all the same. However, allow me to differ, it is actually not the same, because at the end of the day, each and every of our organization has a different organizational culture. So someone coming in from another operator, you do not want that person bringing that kind of mentality that they brought from there, whether it was good or bad. You want them to absorb your own culture, your way of doing things. And how can you achieve that? Through classroom training. You can say, for example, DGCBTA now is standard for pilots, for instance. But remember, the OMD has got a linkage to the OMA, which is the operational document of the AOC. So as you're talking about the processes of how you're going to handle, let's say, a spillage of dangerous goods, we also have our operational documentations. There's a place where we say we are going to handle, there's a way we are going to say we are going to report all this, and that is unique to every operator. So yes, we can say there are soft skills, it's soft training, we don't have to repeat it. However, to maintain the standard of our AOC, to maintain that culture that we have set, and also to avoid negative transfer of procedures and information. You want these people to go through your training. And that is especially so for CRM and especially SMS, because not one size fits all. So kindly, I will keep on urging us to not give up or to try and push, because it is also helping us. And like I said, Cliff is my good friend here. I like what they have done with their OMD, and I can see a lot of the operators now I'm following suit. JP, I have seen you. I have seen you. So we salute you and commend you for that. The other aspect in terms of access and customization to operational documentation. When it comes to the AFMs or the FCOMs, and I'll talk about the aircraft that I know, which is just generally the Boeing aircraft. We talk of the Flight Crew Operation Manual, the QRH, all these documents which have to be given an approval rubber stamp by the state of registry, the state of manufacturer. And we base our approvals all the way for actually the operational documentations, OMA, B, C, and D. We base all these approvals based on those documentation. So you find if we don't have something customized, something that has been accepted by that state, then it becomes difficult for us to now go ahead and give you that approval. For example, an OMB procedures. Do you have to rewrite the POH? No, you don't. All you need to tell us is our OMB, for example, is going to include the MEL, is going to include the POH, is going to include the AFM, it's going to include all these manuals that we have, and these are our reference documents. And all these documents, a lot of the times, obviously, are coming from the manufacturer, which have to be accepted. So if they are not current, if they're not accepted when we go into the portal, we have a big stamp not for operational use, then it becomes difficult now for us to come and append our acceptance note or even a letter of no objection. So support us in that. I know it's a challenge, like Mayor has talked about. We are coming up with documentation maybe to see how we are going to handle the aging aircraft so that we can be able to accommodate one another and also know towards now the limit of this aircraft, what are we going to do and how are we going to handle it. When we have done all these things, certification, we have added the aircraft, we have done the inclusions, there is a part we're going to come regularly and do the audits. I can see familiar faces, and some of them have been, I think most of them have been good audits, others were tough. Yes, I'm one of those. Wacha nijiseme mapema. I'm one of those. We'll say one thing and then do another, but all the same, we'll try to maintain the standard. So we need to make sure that at all times you're maintaining the standards. You're doing what you said that you're going to do at the end of the day, so that it does not compromise your AUC. And I would say, as an inspector, as I stand here, I stand as myself a flight operations inspector, and also on behalf of the manager flight operations. I believe it is very unfair for an auditor or an inspector to come to your organization to see an issue, to not bring it up, however funny it is, because now tomorrow somebody else will come, or there will be a bigger consequences. I do believe we still remember 2018 when some of the operators were grounded for one reason or another. That was not pleasant. Now you can imagine if you get grounded. I have audited you today. I saw issues which I should have brought up. I did not, because I'm worried about our relationship, and I'm worried about, now that I'm 64, in a few weeks I'm turning 65, I want to come and work in the organization. Then as soon as I have arrived on the other side, we now have issues and we can no longer operate. So I believe from a fairness perspective, as a human being, it is my job, it is my duty, it is my responsibility to actually point out and show you, because I'm your mirror, to show you those areas that you cannot see and which need improvement, so that you can keep on growing and of course you can keep on thriving. So that we're doing with the ongoing audits, and also the ongoing oversight that we're doing the training programs when it comes to the DCPs, the designated check pilots, and also the surveillance, in addition to the AOC renewal audits that we are constantly doing. And thank you so much for your cooperation and support when we come for these audits. The challenges, I would say, really mirror what Manager Airworthiness was talking about in the morning when it comes to a lot of these processes. You find, for example, I can say an inclusion will take 2 to 3 days or even a week. And I do believe I saw SAC, Safair Kenya, Safair companies here. I believe I did notice Astral, because those are the companies I've dealt with, Jambojet, Kenya Airways. Depending on the quality of your documentation, when you have brought this package, for example, if it is an inclusion, depending on the quality of your package, it is not going to take that long to actually do an inclusion process. And one thing we have talked about since morning, which is our theme, is collaboration. And we work together. When we work together, when we don't need to go over the inspector's head, and I'm not saying you cannot go to 4th floor. At the end of the day, the government and KC is there to give you service, and you must get it from where you feel you will be served. However, the time that it's taking to go to 4th floor, to go and say, Mule is sitting on this approval, is sitting on this manual, within that time we could have sat, me and you, we rectify the issue, I give you guidance on how you need to go about it, You go on, you get your approval, and you continue growing. Because tomorrow, remember, did I say I'm 65? In the next 1 month, I'm turning 60. I'm 64, turning 65. I want to come and I want to be absorbed. So much as we're looking at it from that aspect, that is on a lighter note. We're also trying to support your business so that you can keep on thriving. The DG in his opening remarks today said that Kenya could become the #1 flower exporter. So how are we going to do that if we do not support you? How will I have a job? How will I have a salary if I don't support your business and if I don't support your processes? So that is how we are looking at it from Flight Ops and also from where I stand as a Flight Operations Inspector. The other thing, of course, that was mentioned was now the incomplete applications, not knowing what we are doing and then not expressing what your issue is. Come to us, put the issue on paper, and let us start finding solutions together. Because if we don't speak it up, then it's very difficult to find out and to know how we're going to support you. And as I finish off, when it comes to all these processes, there's one thing that was talked about in the morning, and Mayor also alluded to it, and also Ndirango did mention it, management of change. Management of change is really key. It's one of the key drivers and the key, I would say it's almost like the base for changing and varying your operation specifications, whether it's through an inclusion, whether it's a fleet addition, whatever changes that you're doing in the organization, a management of change process is actually going to help you implement that project, because it is a project in a much simpler and very seamless way. And why do I say that? The MOC is going to help you identify each and every element that is going to be affected. If you notice you have pilots who are not trained, that is already a hazard. If you notice you have pilots who are coming from another organization, that is your opportunity to now come and say, how many sessions do they need? I need to go to the authority. I tell them this is the plan I have. When you notice you do not have instructors, that is your opportunity to also list down and say, we have one instructor at the moment. How are we going? This is our plan. These are the people we have, and this is how we're going to develop them. The whole point of management of change is to identify everything, which at that point in time, from a safety perspective, you can look at it, safety management system perspective, you can look at it as a hazard. Then you identify how you're going to mitigate it, put in place a plan, and as the project runs through, you will find that there is nothing that is going to be difficult towards achieving that. And I'm confident that in this flow, there have people we have worked with, and the processes have been a lot more smoother. Not perfect at the end of the day, not perfect, but a lot better as we go on day to day. Why is the MOC important when we talk about management of change? We have the element of safety assurance, because at the end of the day, that is why we're in business. That is why KCA is here. That is why we are here as aviators. Yes, we're here for business, but also we're there to provide business in a safe environment, and we are there as a regulatory body to ensure that you keep on doing your operations within that safety structure, within that safe structure. So safety assurance is really important, and when you do your MOC, you'll be able now to identify all these hazards and put in place mitigation measures so that you don't compromise at that point in time your AOC in terms of the quality, in terms of the safety as well. Again, regulatory compliance. Because with each and every item, you're going to say, okay, so our engineers are not rated on the 747. Our pilots are not rated. We have one, we have two, but this is an issue. How are we going to go about this? Because it's a requirement in the regulation that the engineers who are going to do the flight release, the handling of these aircraft have to be trained. That goes for the dispatchers. That goes for the cabin crew, assuming it's a passenger operation. So regulatory compliance is also going to be captured in that. The other aspect is there's operational continuity. And allow me to say this and also ask, why do we bring inclusions just around the time your AOC is expiring? Which one do you want us to prioritize on? The AOC or the inclusion? Because without the AOC, where are you going to put these aircraft? So you find a lot of the times on giving you the AOC first, because without that AOC, tafadhali hakuna inclusion. So business and operational continuity, what are we saying? We are saying that as we're doing all these processes, whether it's a fleet addition, whether it's an inclusion, whatever it is that we're doing, whether it's opening another base, we need to be able to continue the day-to-day activities, because if you have all your resources put in the process, then it means the everyday AOC issues are going to be neglected. And guess what? They will grow and we will find them at the next audit. So you want everything to be able to run seamlessly. The other aspect is now resource management, which also touches on the operational continuity. So where are you going to put the resources? Who is focusing on what? If there's an AOC renewal coming up, let the head of quality, for instance, run with that. Let them focus on making sure the AOC is done, as someone else is trying to put up together the documentation, say for the inclusion, or whether it's a formal application for your fleet addition process. At least that way we know we have both things moving, but we are prioritizing what we already have and what is important for us, which is the AOC. Last but not least is the element of documentation and traceability. In this, they're talking about the old people are not moving, the young people, when they come, they only stay for 2 hours and they've moved on to the next operator. You want, when these Gen Z, head of quality or head of safety or whoever it is that you have in your organization, when they come and when they leave, you can be able to trace this process. The next person can be able to fit into those shoes and be able to take over the project and continue. And this can only be done actually when you have that management of change really well documented. Because remember, we did say it's a project. A project should not stop just because one cog, because it's like a wheel that is, so if you move one cog, does it mean it stops? All you do is just put back another cog and the system continues running. So in terms of even the continuation of the process, making sure the standard is there, the quality is there, MOC will cover you in that aspect. So that is what I would say I wanted to talk about when it comes to now AOC certification, and thank you very much for all the questions on the floor. I do hope I have answered some of the questions as we're going along, and maybe just before maybe we take additional questions from the floor. We do have flight operations inspectors. Please stand and wave to the crowd. We are here together in solidarity. Go easy with the bullets, but we are ready to take them. Tuko hapa, tuko ready. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Nafla. Sawa. That is the end of my presentation. Asanteni sana. And over to you.
Usiende mbali baadaye, we'll capture questions for AOC. We just want to finish this presentation very fast. The following slides will be touching on AOC modifications and other things. So she'll come back. For those who have many questions, you can write. John, Penina, Susan, Steve, they are there to answer these questions very fast so that we might conclude. I've displayed a code here.
Yeah, the QR code you're seeing on your screens is you need to, please, not you need to, we are requesting your feedback on, it's about the meeting today, the stakeholders meeting. The authority would really appreciate your feedback, so you can maybe scan it and use your time to fill it up. Thank you very much. Proceed.
Okay, shukran. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Skipper. Thank you, the manager, flight operations. Now, what is happening is we are going to finish this. I hope you have already scanned. Aviators, there are people who are fast because I want to use the same screen to present. So, and those who are not aware, KCA modified or changed their logo. I'm talking on behalf of CCD. Yes, can you see a new logo? Those who have not realized. Have you scanned? We continue?
We can proceed. In case you've not scanned, we'll bring it up again once we're done with the slides.
Right, shukran. So now, the other issue that we are talking about now is after certification, and now you have your AMO, there are many things that come about. Madam has already mentioned here many issues that people do. So when you talk about modification, because of time, don't worry of the pace. Now, there are many things that come about after an aircraft has been certificated, now it's operating. The OEM will be able to give you issues, and that's why we were saying you must be related. You must be related to the owner of the aircraft. You must be a parent must be there. So when the parent issue some food, then you must be able to be served. In other words, you need to be having the OEM documentation, including the flight operations and the airworthiness documentation. Some of them include modifications. So our concern is sometimes operators bring in modifications which are actually not issued by the original owner of the aircraft, and they are not able to prove, then how are they going to continue getting the airworthiness of the aircraft and the related issues? Let me give you an example. A Boeing 37, which has been modified from passenger to cargo, it will have at least 6 STCs. There is the person who made the cargo door, there is a person who did modification of the system inside, there is the owners. Now, how do you get all these STCs and you be able to ensure that these aircraft, including all other modifications, are going to be followed to the airworthiness point? Next thing is the airworthiness directives and other service bulletins. Now, this is a situation whereby you find operator X submit the same AD for the last 6 years. So during a COV renewal, they will bring the same document they submitted last year. So the question is, did the OEM send any new requirements? Have all ADs used documents to confuse the CA? Some of them, they are written open, some closed, some they are dash. They don't know whether they did or not. There is no also documentation on this information. There are times that the OEM, the owner of this TC, has requested after the completion of this AD or the SB, communicate back to us. There is no communication. And so you don't communicate back to the owner of the TC, or rather the man or the person who issued the TC, the AD, and now it becomes a problem. So ladies and gentlemen, it's very important for you to ensure the airworthiness of the aircraft, reporting to the OEM, and compliance for the COV. Aircraft aging, we did mention that Kenya has not given a specific age limit. However, put this in quotes, maybe in future there could be, but at the moment, how are you ensuring that your aircraft is still airworthy when it's already old? In other words, as the aircraft age, you might find that an aircraft which is younger has done more flight cycles than an aircraft which is older in terms of age, in terms of years. An aircraft could be 20 years, but it has done less flight cycles than one which is 5 years. So ladies and gentlemen, it's up to you to ensure that you're following the OEM requirement, especially when it comes to inspections, the corrosion, and all other things. An aircraft can be rendered as aging starting from the moment it was manufactured. So the age is just there, but what are you eating? When the senior portier is saying grandson, but you see he's still doing well. So he can be old, but he's doing well than the son. Ladies and gentlemen, ensure that these aircrafts, they are serviceable and in accordance to the law. Now, incident and accidents reporting. One time is, there is accidents that happen in Kenya, which are within Kenya, but you know the international requirements is whenever an aircraft has an accident outside Kenya, the CA of that country becomes responsible. And so if your aircraft has an accident, say in Somali, then the Somali CA will need to give us a clearance for you to fly. We've had issues that an aircraft has an incident in Sudan. There is no communication from that side, but the operator has already applied and has been given a special flight permit, for example, to fly to Nairobi. So it becomes a problem for us. What we are saying is, you don't report correctly and you don't report giving documentation. Assessment of the damage is very important. Is it as per the SRM, or did you go to the OEM to be given clearance to do the repairs? Normally, you find that most, I restrict that statement, some operators, they will go ahead and do the repairs. Then they'll bring the documents to the CA. So what should come first? The approval of the repair or the submission of the repair when it's already done? And then you ask, so what was even the damage? What did you do? Then after the aircraft is now serviceable according to them, they want you to give it another document. So we are working on a document that will be returning the aircraft to service after an incident, and you will be required to comply. Now, I want to mention something called safety culture. And this is for academicians, but it's about safety. To avoid plagiarism, I've mentioned there somebody called Reason 1997, he says something called safety culture. It must meet some criteria. So criteria number 1 is reporting culture. Ladies and gentlemen, to enhance safety in aviation, then your people must be able to report. You know, you are the owners of these organizations, the accountable managers and all those people who are here. Some people say that if they report, then they will be sacked. If they report, they will be demoted. So some of the accountable managers, head of quality, head of safety. So the head of safety and head of quality in some organizations, they have been employed to ensure business continue, to ensure they hide the company from the CA. So it's very important for you. That does not happen in Kenya, but in those other states. The head of qualities, they need to ensure that they report correctly. Because if the head of quality has not been given that mandate, that autonomy, independent operations, then an OEM, AMO, AOC will not be able to operate in according to the law. There's something called just culture is non-punitive. The accountable managers, the head of quality, if an engineer comes tell you something, so you are the one who is reporting us, you go home tomorrow. I think we need to change that narrative to be able to help the industry. The other one is flexible culture, where the employee are well trained. The other one is learning culture, where the organization is able to draw right conclusions. These are decisions which are data-based. And lastly, when all these are combined, ladies and gentlemen, we will be able to ensure when we have proper collaboration, then it will enhance safety. Number 2, shared responsibility. If you saw my first, the CA or our first presentation mentioned that aviation safety is a collective business. Improved communication, enhanced implementation of regulation, support for performance-based oversight, innovation and continuous improvement, better resource utilization, and strengthen safety culture. Captain here, when she was mentioning about management of change and all those things, they fall under this collaboration. So if you come to us, you'll be able to do your proper operations. And that brings us to the end of this presentation this afternoon. Now we're going to open the floor, and I will welcome our Manager Flight Ops to get a few of the questions. We got 26 minutes to end this meeting. Much that you came late, we want to end on time. Those questions that will not be able to be answered, we request you to write and give them to our inspectors, any of them, so that we can answer you directly or something. There's something I've just been reminded here. We mentioned about training. Today morning I mentioned about training, and I categorized training into 3. I mentioned about initial type training that requires, I'm talking about Annex 168. Who knows which annex is that? 168. You know it? 168. Now I'm in Pearl number 1. So then 6, then 8. So annex number 1 talks about training. Training of personnel. We mentioned that there is need for you to train your people correctly in terms of type training initial, which will have theory and practical. Then we mentioned about continuation training. We mentioned about recurrence. People call it continuation or recurrence, but people also confuse this to refreshers. And people go to school sometimes 1 week to do a continuation training. I'm not saying you don't go to school, it's good for you to go, but the AMO can also train these people according to current regulation 24, AMO regulation 24. We will be mentioning this, then you need to ensure that your training program is now correctly done for you to be able to be approved for that. So I've mentioned this to some of the AMOs, so we're looking into that. We have about 24 minutes, so we will take 14 minutes exactly for the questions. And then we'll have, let the person that already spoken in the morning, allow somebody else to talk, then we'll come to him.
Just one question. How is the authority helping the inspectors in terms of inspectors' capacity? That is the biggest challenge we're having in timely certification processes. I hope DASA is aware, and I know she's aware. We'll just need some encouragement on this aspect. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, Philip Astro.
No worries. Thank you, Philip. That one we are working on it. We are working on it. Madam Dasa, I will let her mention that when she comes to conclude. There is a lot of employment going on. There is a lot of designation going on. So that is being sorted. Next question. About the AOC, so that skipper here. Yes.
There is a question, so long as I come that way. There's an AMO question. Do we only take AOC? There's a question that reads for flight operations. If an operator wants to add cabin crew to aircraft with less than 19 passengers into their ops of aircraft for customer convenience or comfort, can the KCA facilitate issuance of cabin crew licenses for such fleets, such as VVIP flights on citations, gas stream, etc.?
All right, we'll capture that. The inspector will, she was prepared for the question, just stepped out. She will come and get that answered. Yes, next question. Yes.
Thank you very much. It was explained that for inclusion purposes, when there's a mini 5-phase, if we are adding a type that we already have, isn't it, on our fleet. If I'm a caravan operator and I'm adding a caravan, it is still a 5-phase inspection. I think that's what was said. My question is, if I have an aircraft that I have been operating and I give it out on lease, it goes out of my op specs, it's now coming back on my op specs, is it still the same mini 5-phase? That's one question. The other question is, one of the requirements when we are doing the inclusion of an aircraft which was operating somewhere with another company, one of the requirements is to get a KA clearance. KCA clearance for air navigation and KA clearance for parking and landing fees. Now this KA clearance has always been a problem. Can the KCA consider removing this requirement from the checklist? I mean, how does it help? Because it doesn't add to safety. I know it's one government trying to help the other department collect revenue, but then from experience, we have been grounded even for 2 months because the KA clearance is not coming through.
Okay, we'll answer the first question, where you're talking about you had an aircraft and it left. So the moment an aircraft leaves your AOC, in that sense also you have modified your AOC and it no longer exists. So we expect that you will have done due diligence, the lease has been cancelled, everything has been done, and in the case of an inclusion process, which we call declusion, because it's an inclusion in reverse, you will also have removed it, let's say, from your operational manuals and wherever it appeared. So when you do bring it back again, you just have to embed it in the same way. And if it was an aircraft, for example, if you have helicopters and now you had a caravan which has left and it has to come back, unfortunately for now we have to go through that fleet addition process. However, we do expect that it will not be as long and as tedious as the first time, because now you have experience. So everything is going to move chap. Yeah, the KAA issue with KCA, that one I will hand it over to the DASA. I would want to say I have a magic wand, but I will not do that. So DASA, maybe for the second question with regard to KCA and KAA clearance.
Maybe you can ask the question again.
If a Kenyan operator is removing the aircraft from his op specs and is bringing it to mine, so he's got to get a KAA clearance apart from getting an air navigation service clearance from KCA. Now, getting the clearance from KCA, in all my experience, has never been an issue. Getting a KAA clearance, in all my experience, is a big issue. There was a time, a couple of years back, in the high season, and we were stuck because of the KAA clearance not coming through, and my aircraft stayed on the ground. So hii kitu itolewe kabisa, your requirement.
Thank you for your submission. Hata hii kitu tunatoa sijui ni gani. I also want to understand because clearance is normally for registration of aircraft. But now we are in AOC. Captain Mulia, I'm also a stakeholder. When do you require that? Is it a requirement for AOC or registration? It's registration of aircraft. Okay. I thought it's the, yeah.
The name of the lessee is now being revoked.
Oh.
And you're getting a new COPR without that name.
Okay. That's clear now. I think because of debts. It's about debts.
Yeah.
Because KAA says we do not have this aircraft. It is you who have it in the register. It is you, KCA, who approve the leases. So before you do this and this, check this for us on our behalf as another state authority and a state agency working together. What we do, we will take it with us. It's just like the KRA customs, the clearance for the aircraft. Allow us to see it internally. Okay. But that's what KAA wants us to do for.
No, that is understood.
Yes.
You see, the problem is they are not as organized with their finances. So your records show that there's nothing outstanding, but they bring you invoices of 10, 12 years ago. You show them that you have paid those invoices, but they still don't make the adjustments, and nothing moves there.
Okay, that is on the KAA side. KAA side, yeah. KAA side, they are the ones you are saying they are not organized. Okay, we'll pass the message to the DG. Allow us. And you can also visit us to deal with this case because it could be affecting very many of the stakeholders. We'll see how we collaborate with KAA. Kila mtu? Okay.
Thank you, Dasa. We have another question on this end.
Okay.
My name is Nicodemus Doe from Renegade. Mine is not really a question, but a recommendation which cuts across the AOC and the AMO. And I'm talking about capacity. It's a fact that at the CAA, the capacity in terms of human resource is somehow wanting. It's not commensurate to the size of the industry. Licensing has brought in professionals who are out in the industry as examiners. They are not 100% employees for the authority, but they are really doing a great job in terms of exams, conducting and marking and everything. Now, when it comes to certification, inclusions and all those, I believe there is a lot of experience out here, massive experience. People who I think the authority can bring on board to assist the current inspectors. The inspectors are not sufficient, that's for sure. We need more FOPs inspectors, we need more airworthiness inspectors. Can the authority consider tapping the massive experience out here in the industry to assist in some of those tasks? Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Mdoe. I'll allow our director to respond to that.
Okay, I will answer two questions quickly. One from Astral, can't remember the name, on manpower, the resources at KCA. You remember we talked about critical element number 3, where it's the state organization. In there, I told you there is a building, the building, and the people in there. Then it means states are supposed to have an organization structure. The organization structure that we have in KCA is for 2011. 2011 has specific numbers. Flight operations, I think they are 30. Airworthiness, they are 25. Yes. So we will be recruiting, that's number 1 option. As I've told you, we will be onboarding more people. We have to designate from the service provider. That's number 2. We'll go to the ANSP service provider at JKI, the KCA one you know. We will also go to KAA and any other service provider operating aerodromes among us. We have them. And number 3, we have sourcing technical personnel from established, technically competent and experienced civil aviation authorities. Those aircraft currently on the register that we do not have capacity to oversight, it's a finding from ICAO for Kenya. Now we are thinking of going to UK and ask them, do you have inspectors who can help us specifically on this equipment at JKIA on the ground? There are those things that Kenya Airports Authority could be operating, but KCA regulator does not have capacity, engineers, civil engineers to do it. So we will go out to other states. And number 4 is sourcing from RSOO, Regional Safety Aviation Organization. That is like ASOA and many others. Then EASA is one of them. And the other option Kenya has given is from competent commercial organizations that would supply qualified personnel. Mr. Oput, do you have that organization you can supply people? You see the opportunities for us Kenyans. So if you think you can do this, go create an office somewhere, we will come and ask you, do you have somebody who can inspect this aircraft? Just that one element. Do you have, I can see our CEO there. Yes, create this. And number 6 is delegating activities to other recognized entities, trade organizations, aviation, all those CALPA. Engineers, do you have anything in the house? What do you have, engineers? CALPA pilots are ahead. Who else? Air traffic controllers, CATCA. Anything for engineers in Kenya? Nothing. Who is the chairman today? Can you reorganize?
Evacuation of passengers. So maybe the question can be asked again so that Susan can be able to address it.
Good afternoon. I have the question here. The question is, if an operator wants to add cabin crew to aircraft with less than 19 passengers into their operations of aircraft for customer convenience and comfort, can the KCAs facilitate issuance of cabin crew licenses for such fleet such as VVIP flights on citations and Gulf streams? What I'd like to first say is the cabin crew licenses or cabin crew member certificates are actually issued after meeting the PEL requirements, personnel licensing requirements. So they are the ones who issue the cabin crew license. Cabin crew member certificate is actually not a license. So as an operator, prior to you assigning a person duty on board as a cabin crew member, they must hold the cabin crew member certificate, which means this person must have been trained.
planning that you want to say, and you have not spoken since morning, and you want to say something, please raise your hand. So one, if you have not spoken since morning, and there is something you want to say, if it is a question, yeah, so what we are saying is we have come to the end, and we don't want we normally collect data. So now what I'm doing is data collection to ensure that no one is left behind. Much that we might not be able to answer your question, we will pick it. Brother John, Penina, and the others will be able to address that. So our lady here, the mic seems to have a snag. And if you find you have something, just write it down. We will address it. Now, when you write a question at this point, indicate your email address and your number.
Hello everyone. My name is Grace. I have a question. You had mentioned about training in maintenance. So we have a blur area for the safety training, especially on ERP. Is the manual going to entail what will train as a standalone armor in regards to ERP? Because we're trying to get the data, but we're not able to figure out ERP or standalone armor, what it will entail for us to train our engineers.
Can you capturing that? Make sure you get
cognizant of Airworthiness Regulation 21 that requires you to have maintenance continuity after 30 days of having the aircraft outside the country?
Thank you. Mine is more of an observation. When you're doing your aircraft inclusion and you bring in an aircraft, you bring it registered, and then you have to get it, you get the lease approved only after all the processes are done. I think we have the sequence wrong. Because supposing I've brought an aircraft, registered it, it has a C of R, C of A, and then you go to air transport and they refuse to approve the lease. What would happen then?
Right. So let's hear the last question briefly. That one is captured, Mr. Mike. Madam Dasa will respond to it shortly. The last person shortly, briefly, so that all the questions that are coming in late is because of those who came in late.
Okay, we'll be very brief. Just to recapture what Mohammed Ali had said, and for a proposal, and to show you how deep the problem is. For requirements of deregistration for an aircraft, because you have indicated very well that it's because of your sisterliness as organizations that you're putting the requirement for a KA clearance because you are assisting your sister agency to collect the fees. The challenge is it needs to be well defined, because as we speak, the problem is even deeper than what he is indicating, because you will find at the time you're deregistering an aircraft, you will find that even getting that KA clearance on some occasions, which is a number of times, KA is even insisting that the clearance is for the company, not even the specific aircraft that is in place. So between organization to organization, KA to KCA, there needs to be a clear definition. If it is an issue of clearance, it is for you to demonstrate that the parking and landing fees for that aircraft have been paid. The moment they've been paid, then that is sufficient. It should not cross that limit. So yes, it is something that KCA is assisting to collect KA, but because this is bringing inefficiency and eventually it comes to you, what you're proposing is that the clearance should be specific to the tail number, and the moment a demonstration has been shown that that fees has been paid, then that should be sufficient. Otherwise, it's a big problem and it needs to be addressed.
Thank you very much. We already discussed this. Madam Dasa mentioned that we will tell the KA on the issues. Yes, we have those issues, and there is a time one of your colleagues had to clear his aircraft, but you find that KA, they invoice the number of aircrafts in totality in an organization. And so if you have a debt for them, even if it's for aircraft XYZ, which is not the one you are deregistering, it means now you have to clear your debt. So what are you supposed to do? Clear the debt, get the clearance. The only problem is they take a while before they do it, but come to us, because sometimes the company is not closing down. So we have done that before. So please, the problem is we are not talking. So you come to us, tell us you have this issue with KA, we will talk to KA, they will confirm the information, and because Astro, they are not closing down and they want to deregister one of the 7.6, then now the CA takes that responsibility to step in and deregister the aircraft. I'm not saying we will do that, but that can be done depending on the agreements that we can have. So basically what we are saying is talk, collaborate. So to this end, I will welcome Madame Dasa to answer the few questions or the many questions she has, at the same time to close the meeting. So just in case you have a question, you got anything you want to say, there are many inspectors around here, give them your question, your concern, and before Dasa, please, Penina feels that she wants to say something, or it's John?
It's Penina.
Okay, Penina, briefly.
Yes, before Dasa speaks, but I'll just remember we said
aviation is about continuous learning, and the fact that SMS in maintenance organizations has not matured and we've been behind, that's why we have a question like, what will our ERP look like? But I'll give you an example. Our ERP would look like this. If you have someone hurt in the hangar, seriously hurt, who do you call? Okay, so do your people know who the first point of contact is? Okay, what we're used to is the fire call, but you can get someone really sick in the hangar. Another one you could have is you can carry out maintenance. I'll give you an example of one of the AMOs. When they were going through their systems, they discovered the certifying staff, because of complacency, deemed a process not useful. And so what happened, they deleted the process from the task card. So when they were going through the process, the equipment was there, but they skipped the process. So in a situation when you discover you have maintained an aircraft or a component not in accordance with approved standards. And that, what happened, you signed off the CRS, the aircraft is out there flying. For an AMO, the emergency is, how do you recall that aircraft back to ensure that it flies safely? That is an example of how our ERP would look like. I just thought, let me share so that we can conclude. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And before Dasa comes in, let me see if you got any of the airworthiness inspectors wants to give a remark. Dan Forbes, John, Mercy, anybody who wants to say something? Yes, Manager.
Thank you so much, Mayor. As we conclude, I would just like to encourage each and every one of us, again, to work together, even among the AOCs. Some of us have similar aircraft. Some of us really, for example, let me give an example of Cessna Sovereign, for example. We do have operators who share these aircraft. We have Caravans, we have the 7-3s. So let us keep on working together. Maybe we put the business side aside a little bit. Nobody's stealing our secrets. When it comes to quality and safety, we are all going to benefit. So when we work together in that aspect, because we're trying to improve our aviation industry and also look at aspects that it can be cheaper, I'm sure we can find ways of working together in that aspect and then coming to the authority and also allowing us to work with you the same way you have been working with us. Asanteni sana. And just a point of order, because it's on record, I meant to say I am one of those Mkali inspectors, not the one who says one thing and does another. And I can see Mansolo smiling. But all the same, it is here to keep on supporting and improving your operations. Asanteni sana and a good evening.
Thank you.
Mayor, as I give you the microphone, I wanted to speak a bit on the safety management system for maintenance organization. As Grace has brought it up, we found consistently that organizations that are merged, be it an AOC, also an holder of an AMO, holds one manual that speaks more to AOC. Our advocacy going forward is the inspectors handling your organizations will help and guide you in developing a manual that is appropriate to AMO. In that process, you will be able to have a good ERP that speaks of not head of operations or director of flight operations being an emergency, but head of base, because when we're talking of maintenance, we're talking of head of base. So definitely it's something that is upcoming. I realized that Farmland had asked a question about safety management system. I know the authority through our director will hold another forum so that we can also have a one-on-one breakdown on the safety aspect of maintenance organization. It is very, very important, as it is an obligation for us as a Kenyan state to ICAO. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mercy. Protocol calls after we finish, then I can see there are some cups out there. I'm not sure whether they are for tea or coffee, but something like that. Our Inspector John reminded me of something. The B1 and B2 will bring about the change of the CRS. I did mention in the morning. What I've projected here is a template of how the new CRS will appear. This is a template, a draft. So we'll be finalizing and we'll be submitting it for final approval. So if it will not be like this, it will be something next to that. Ladies and gentlemen, there will be only two classes, so there will be class 1 and class 2. Currently you got 3. So we'll be having class 1 and class 2, and everything will be documented like this. There is a CRS number, aircraft registration, operators, maintenance location, starting date, and all this information. If you got 4 engines, you'll have information there, the APU, the propellers, and the weight, was it scheduled, unscheduled, or modification. So everything will be captured under one document. So this is a sample of it. As I've already said, is a draft, so we will not share it today. We will be sharing it after it has gone through validation and approval. So this will be class 2 release to service. Now this is what will be used for components. So don't worry about it. We will be sharing it after it has been validated and approved, but we just wanted you to appreciate that it's cooking. Lastly but not the least, we want to say that thank you for coming for this meeting from the airworthiness side. Also from the manager of flight operations, she already mentioned, but I just spoke, or rather I had a chat with the manager of flight operations whom she represented earlier, Madam Sheila. She also sent her regards, and she said that whatever it is that the CA needs to do to ensure safety, she will be able to handle it. Finally, if there is a question or a comment that was not correctly tackled and you wanted it to be done better, you remain behind after others go so that we'll be able to talk. Finally, we'll be having another stakeholder meeting soon, and there we'll be talking a different story. So now I welcome, right, she just mentioned there is tea outside, tea, coffee, milk, water, something next outside, so don't go home. Madam Dasa mentioned she already paid for it. So now I welcome Madam Dasa to do the final comments and close the meeting. Hey, sorry.
It's okay. Thank you for your sorry. Well received. Thank you, Manager Worthiness. We want to thank the taxpayer for paying for the tea. Can we clap for the taxpayer? It's not our money. And this is the fees you pay us, so we have returned to you. So I don't know what to say because I'm just happy, very excited for what we are seeing in our industry. The DG left us a little bit early for another official engagement. I've sat in on his behalf and on behalf of DASA. And to the DG, I really want to first thank the board of directors of Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, led by Mr. Brown Ondego, the board members of KCAA. They are not here, but I can see their signature when I'm moving here, that it is for that board that approved such a sitting. It's not an easy thing to do. I also want to thank the Director General, KCA. You met him this morning. Most of us, we know him, Emil Rao. I want to thank the staff of KCA, those who are here with us, and those who are at the background, receiving us from the entrance. And more so, I want to thank the stakeholders. Someone was asking me, why are we playing the EAC community anthem? And I said, in here, we have operators flying to Somalia. Somalia is in EAC now. We are 8 countries. So we must recognize everyone. Some of us are employees from Uganda. Some of us are working in Tanzania. Some of us are in South Sudan supporting. So we are 8 countries, so we play both anthems. And then There are two things coming up. Astral, Mike said something about leases. I want to confirm to you that even as we are here, I have a team in Machakos right now doing technical guidance material on leases, both dry, the wet, the damp, all those leases we know. Because you are rightfully saying we are doing it upside down, it is true. If you read our regulation of air licensing, air service licensing, it says that the lessee takes control, operational control of the wet leased aircraft. Is that practical for those operators? Yeah. So then we realize those are issues in the regulations. Now we are sitting to come up with a TGM, and we will be publishing an AIC to the industry to correct that small anomaly as we wait to have the new regulations coming so that we are compliant. So on Friday, we will finish the draft of the list TGM, and another TGM that we are working on to be concluded on 30th of this month, check on us again, please put it in your diary, is operation of aircraft that is foreign registered into and out of Kenya. You see British Airways landing here, you see KLM. Some of us do lease those aircraft, and we do not have any procedure in Kenya. So now we are waking up quickly, and we need to move with speed so that before you come in, beyond the BASA, bilateral agreements, then we will have our own procedure on how these airlines will be landing and taking off in any part of Kenya, any aerodrome. So those are two which will be ready by 30th of May. And considering that we need to engage the stakeholder, we promise we will do something. Even if we do not have a physical meeting like this, we will publish for you to see the draft of the TGMs. We haven't been doing this, but the Constitution is very clear that the people we regulate, the people we oversee, need information. So we will give you this information just to know what is coming. If you have an input, we will also welcome that. The third thing is on our safety culture. The last slide, there is a slogan we put there that it is AMO plus AOC is equals to safety. I want to add ATO because without Annex 1, there is Annex 1, 6, and 8. That is where ICAO started audits from the beginning. Now ICAO has moved to other annexes out of the 19. And the smallest, the kid on the block is SSP under Annex 19, where now we will be audited as a state. They have never audited. So then we are bringing in ATO, and Manager Airworthiness said that we will be doing TGMs on ATO certification because we have so many applications for ATO certification for engineers, but we haven't been able to move far. So TGMs are also coming. That one is still underway. The other thing I want to recognize is what Penina said about our children. They are our children, they are our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, and all of them. They are looking for these jobs. We have gone ahead of them. They are depending on us to mentor them and to hold their hands and support where we can in every way. The government of Kenya has launched under public service an internship program where they help recruit these students from colleges, universities, and supply them to the government entities like the ministries, the departments, and agencies. One agency is KCA. So KCA lately has been receiving so many interns. If you come to these departments, personnel licensing, airworthiness, you will find our children there from colleges, universities, who are training. Because we, the employers, tell them you need 10 years experience in aircraft maintenance. Where will they get it? When you take them and let them clean the hangar from morning to evening. Let's hold their hands, assign them to more experienced engineers, pilots, dispatchers, so that they can also grow and get what they require to be able to achieve what their dreams are. So when it comes to these interns, we're engaging them in line of duty fully. We will be bringing them practically to come and inspect aircraft with our inspectors. We request you to embrace them. Open the doors for them. Don't say, huyu ni atachi, huyu ni intern. We are all actually aging. and moving away from this system. And we want to leave our children doing this job. So even the ADs that you are submitting, the SBs, thinking that airworthiness do not have inspectors to check, interns will comb it out. They will know the AD list is the one submitted for the last 4 COA renewals, and they can pick it for us quickly. So let's engage one another and give an opportunity. Change management, somebody brought it from the floor, and I want to expand this change management from the current model that we all know, that most of us have been in aviation for so long. Things are changing, things are changing. So even when you are doing a change management within the institution that you work, can you also consider the regulator? That the regulator is also changing. It is not those faces that you knew. That when I go there, so and so award is there. Atapitisha phase 1 mpaka 5 straight. Ama hawezi kupitisha. So as we are all evolving and moving from one stage to the other, let's also consider that change management and accommodate the new change in the regulator side, the ministry, the departments, the president. Things are changing. So let's all align and ensure that Kenya meets its mandates from the ICAO perspective. The last one here is the issue of support from the industry. That when KCA calls upon you, please turn up the way you have done. We appreciate, we promise this is what we will be doing going forward. We want to be open. We don't want things to be done under the table anymore. If you have an issue, whistleblowing policy, we will share. But we have also told you, please talk to us. If you have something that is burning and you can see in the industry that there is something at the aerodrome, there is an aircraft, there is an engineer, there is a dispatcher, there is this employer, there is this CEO, account manager, please whisper it to us. We will not tell them, so that we all grow a good safety culture. So members, with that, I want to submit on behalf of the DG that he welcomes you to KCA anytime. Any issues of concern, bring them forward, and we appreciate your participation. God bless you. I think we will close with a word of prayer.
Thank you, Dasa. Now we want to welcome Salome, who will be doing our closing prayer. Salome works for the Kenya Association of Air Operators. We've been having a lot of collaborations with them, also with KCA and with KA. So they've been here since morning. Karibu.
Asante. Let's all stand up for a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before this evening. We want to thank you for your goodness, for your mercies, for your grace, for your favor. You have taken us through since morning till this hour, O God. We don't take that for granted. You have protected us, O God. We want to thank you for your guidance, for your leadership, and even for your spirit that has been with us since morning, O God. As we depart today, O God, we pray that you may walk with each and every one of us, O God, that you may guide us in our businesses, O God, that you may guide us in our positions that each and every one of us holds in various organizations, O God. We also pray for KCA. May you be the guide that will take them through even in pursuing their mandate, O God. We also commit KA into your able hands, O God. May you see them through in accomplishing their mission and their vision, O God. We want to thank you and to put our businesses into your able hands, O God. May each and every one of us who has a business out there, who is working for any organization, O God, may them prosper in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, O God. As we depart to our homes, O God, let your Holy Spirit, let your angels watch over us, O God. May we reach to our destination safely and sound, O God. And let your holy name be glorified each and every day, O God. And it is through the mighty name of Jesus Christ we do pray, trust, and believe. Amen.
Asante sana, Salome. So please don't go home without taking tea. There is tea, coffee. It's already paid for. So please, as you go out, do what is called talk to your neighbor, know your neighbor, Ensure you got everything that you carried to this room.
Sí.